outside.
"Good afternoon, sir," the bald man began. "We're from the Postal Department and are tracing a package that was delivered to this address. I'm afraid the carrier forgot to have someone sign for it. You know how fussy the government can be about these little things."
He laughed easily. "You mean the package that came yesterday for Miss Conrad?"
"That's the one."
"She wasn't at home when the postman came, so he asked me to hold on to it until she returned. I never signed for it. I gave it to Miss Conrad as soon as she got home."
"At least she got it. That's what's important."
"It's a good thing that it came when it did," Mr. Dryden continued. "What with her taking the job of managing a camp at Tall Pine Lake. They left this morning."
"You don't say,"
the bald man said as he raised one eyebrow.
"Tall Pine Lake. I've never heard of it."
"It's a beautiful place up in the Ozarks. You should visit sometime. There's fishing, hunting, and boating."
"How far is it from here?"
"I don't rightly know."
"Thank you, sir. You've been a big help. The United States government appreciates it."
The two men got into their car, and the bald-headed man slapped the steering wheel with his palm.
"What do you think? Pretty slick, huh? I told you that blood was thicker than water and that he'd send it to her."
"Sure looks that way," the younger man admitted. "We'll have to call Chicago and let them know what we found out."
"I know just what the boss will say."
"What's that?" The bald-headed man's chuckle was dry and without humor.
"He'll say it's time to do a little hunting."
Chapter 1. Home, Arkansas, 1980. "Excuse me." Nona had come out of the small grocery store carrying 2 heavy sacks of groceries and run head-on into a man coming into the business. She hadn't hit him hard, but she felt the red sting of embarrassment just the same. Glancing up quickly, she saw that he was definitely a city man. He didn't look like a person who belonged in Home, Arkansas. His clothes were expensive, certainly too new to have been worn long, unlike those of most men in town who wore faded work clothes that had seen many washings. His head was bald, but the black mustache on his upper lip was thick. Nona wondered why bald men were compelled to have hair on their faces. It was hard to tell if he was young or old. The coldness in his dark eyes unnerved her. Her mind absorbed these impressions in a few seconds. She hadn't realized that she'd been staring until he reached out and grabbed her by the arm.
"Apology accepted,"
he mumbled through uneven teeth. Even from those 2 words, Nona could hear an accent, but one that she couldn't place. With an expanding smile, the man added,
"You're Mrs. Conrad, aren't you?"
"No," she answered. "I'm Miss Conrad."
"I was told you managed the camp at Tall Pine Lake. My friend and I are looking for a place to fish. Do you have a vacancy?"
"Not for a couple of weeks." The words came out of Nona's mouth before she'd given them any thought. Even though most of the cabins were currently empty, something unpleasant about the man prompted her to lie.
"That's too bad,"
he said. His eyes began to roam across her body before settling on her breasts.
"But then it might be worth waiting for."
The thumb on the hand that held her arm began to move across her skin in a caressing motion. Suddenly angry, Nona tried to jerk her arm away, but the man's grip tightened. "Let go!" Her voice was loud and strong. She felt a quiver of fear and looked around to see if anyone was near. Her hopes leapt as she saw a delivery man carrying a large box coming her way. But before she could call to him, the strange man abruptly released her arm, stepped back, and opened the door for the delivery man, who quickly disappeared inside the store. Nona feared that the stranger would grab her again, but instead he said gruffly,
"I'll be seeing you, Miss Conrad."
With that, he turned and walked away. For a moment she stood frozen in front of the store. He knew my name. Shaking the thought loose, Nona hurried to her car. Bright sunlight bathed the small town, and the first hint of the July heat hung in the air. The leaves of the tall maple and oak trees fluttered in the light breeze. As she moved down the sidewalk, Nona caught sight of her reflection in the large window of the hardware store. Mr. Finnegan's window was full of saws, hammers, nails, and even an antique cast-iron stove.